Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave.
This is the podcast for February. And if you've never listened to a podcast like this from myself and Dave before, this is where we share an insight to behind the scenes with UnderstandingE. We are literally wearing this on our sleeves, Dave, which is that each month we share our wins, our successes, the progress which we've been made, and also our failures, or aka screw-ups. And this month has been a complete roller coaster for us to both extremities. So someone made a bit of a boo-boo with emails this month, Dave.
Yeah, I should really sack that member of staff. It was rubbish.
And also on the flip side is that we've been and scored massively, and this is us looking back at the month of February, and we do feel kind of robbed a little bit.
It's a short month. We were missing days at the end there.
Yeah. So what we're going to be doing in this podcast is looking back at our goals over the last month, what we did, who we spoke to, and we'll be checking those off and sharing those with you. And we did the same last month, and we're going to be doing the same next month as well. So, Dave, what have we got coming up in this conversation?
We have a sort of a I don't know what you call it, a gift of sorts, or something a little bit, unusual. Haven't done it before.
Mm-hmm.
More about that in a minute. We'll talk about the eBook that we published, and that was crazy.
that went better than I ever expected. We'll explain more in a minute why and how.
We had the podcast with the email expert John Hayes, and of course we moved to iContact ourselves, which is one of the companies which John now manages as his new role at Vocus.
Mm-hmm.
We actually released 16 new guides in February.
Yeah, we spoke about this literally just a couple of minutes before we hit record. 16 guides. It felt like we got none out.
Yeah, it did. I can't believe there was 16 new guides in February. It's crazy. We also had a chat with Simple Servers.
Mm-hmm. And we'll bring you up to speed with what's going on over there.
Yeah. And we actually went down to the Real Business Future 50 Awards down in London.
Which was fantastic. The coffee was really nice.
I was more fan of the Prosecco, but never mind. And then, yes, we have a couple of M2E Pro feature requests this month.
Mm-hmm.
We'll more about that later.
Yeah, indeed. We've got an update around Export My Listings as well. And we've got a really curious one. And it's around investment. And basically, again, this is my mindset. And Dave shares the same mindset, which is that isn't investment cheating? And we'll be exploring that more later on. And also we'll be sharing with you the one thing which we each think we could have done better this month as well. And again, this is us holding ourselves not only accountable to you, but also ourselves and each other as well. So we've got one comment for each of us. And again, it's to help us improve as well. And we'll also be checking off against what our challenges or what our plans were last month, and to see how well we did or maybe didn't do in one or two cases as well. So we're going to start this off slightly differently. So at the end of this podcast, we've got a discount code for you, and it's going to give you 15% off the Magento admin theme for Magento. So that's the green admin theme, which you've been seeing in all of the video guides up until now. And that discount code is quite a funny one, and we'll let you know what that is at the very end. And again, if you don't want to listen to us talk for the next 20 minutes or so, fast forward to the end and you'll find it there.
We'd prefer it if you stayed and listened, but we know we can't stop you.
Indeed. So if you just want the code, just go to the end. If not, hang around, and because these things are important for you as well, not only for us to hold ourselves accountable, but also to share the journey with you, with UnderstandingE. And so you can gain into us insight to what we've been up to, and also, crucially, what we've got planned for March or this month when you actually listen to this podcast. So, Dave, changing the topic, the ebook was published.
The ebook was published, and this is something which came about from the Feedvisor webinar, which you were on, Matt, and the topic was the one simple rule to help you sell more online. And I remember that straight away after the webinar had finished, I was watching it. You popped up on Skype and went, that wasn't long enough. we can do better than that. And it was that which then turned into, we're going to write an ebook about this whole topic. We'll break it down into this, and this. And I think we went from nothing, like from not even an idea about an ebook, to 2 and a bit weeks later, having 35 plus pages published and available to download. Which was
best part of a dozen
crazy
endorsements as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and just to share some stats with you, basically a gig of data transfer on a single day just for the ebook as well when it was launched. And again, it hasn't hit that kind of level since, but that's just a massive amount. It's only like 1.6 meg, the actual file or something like that. So that kind of gives you an idea of the numbers of the times which it's been downloaded and the feedback which we've been received from you. So if you haven't listened to this ebook, we'll include the link to the One Simple Rule. And it's really straightforward. It's about thinking like your customer and actually becoming your customer. And the ebooks is a guide for you. It's just pointers to help you. And again, it's something which I find naturally quite easily to do, to jump to the other person's perspective or the customer. And Dave, I did it with you earlier on a different topic. So went away, had to think about it and actually what does Dave need to know or do? And I can flip myself to that side of the table, that point of view. I find it very easy to do or instinctive to do. But I actually know, like, my partner, she struggles with that. And the ebook was like, that's why I typed after that, was that we can do so much better. And that's what we did. We went and did it, and we went and did it properly with the ebook as well. So that was fantastic. And I didn't actually realize the amount of effort it actually takes to create anything like that. And again, it was the first time I've ever done that. And again, I've kept away from ebooks and I kept away from full-blown guides, with Last Drop of Ink over the last 3-4 years, and just giving you like pointers in specific directions. And this was the first time I've actually sit down and documented something like this. And it was a brilliant challenge. It was a struggle, but the output was amazing.
It was crazy. You don't actually have any idea of how, what goes into it. It's not just a case of sitting down and writing what you want to speak about. You have to get the structure right. Would an image fit here to complement what you're saying? Then there's all the editing and proofreading that we did. I'm not sure how many times you read through it, Matt, but I read through it a fair few times. We even had your next door neighbour, who's an author, actually proofread
best-selling
well.
author, yeah, he proofread it as well. And even in the final version, which we were just about to publish, I actually gave it to my wife. He knows a little bit about e-commerce because she used to work with me back in the old days when I used to sell on eBay, and she found 2 spelling mistakes. Yeah. I was like, how did that get through me, Dave, and Andy, and numerous other people as well? So that was fun. We also had the podcast with John Hayes as well.
We did, and obviously John is, a long-time friend of both of ours now. And as far as I'm concerned, if ever I was going to ask anyone a question about email marketing, it would be John, without a shadow of a doubt. And it was great to get him on and him share his insights of email marketing, where it's been and where it's going, and also he shared with us some top tips for e-commerce businesses, which, were fantastic.
Oh, and of course, we actually outgrew the free option for email marketing as well, and we've grown up. I feel really proud to say that we've grown up and are now using eye contact. That for me personally is just like a milestone in itself. I think that's for us, or for me personally, Dave. That's quite an achievement to say that.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
We've grown so large that we've got to now start paying for email marketing. What a good problem to have! So again, my world is based on bad problems. Like, bad problems is screwing something up, like really, like detrimental, hugely bad.
Like, but maybe sending an email out which just said text.
I'll rib you on that one in a bit. But on the flip side, the good problem is that you're having to pay for this stuff now, which is great because it means that it's suddenly grown up. And again, Dave, what's that? 30 days and then another 28 days. So the best part, like, is, we'll just say 60 days.
60 days, yeah.
We've gone from like 0 to that. That's an achievement in itself. Again, happy days. We had our first premium webinar as well, didn't we, Dave?
We did, which was great to actually get some one-on-one sort of feedback, really, on UnderstandingE so far, and also where they wanted it to go.
Mm-hmm. Where you wanted it to go, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
And the big surprise for me was that Amazon was as big as what the website was. It was like on an even par. Because we explained the challenges which we've got with Amazon right now in M2E Pro, which is, and again, if you're not aware of this, but basically with M2E Pro, you've got two versions running side by side. You've got the eBay side, which is at version 6, which is where you've got policies, you've got this really clean interface to work from, and then you've got version 5 of M2E Pro for the Amazon side. Now, but when I first started using M2E Pro back in March of 2013, this changeover between this version 5 to version 6 was quite horrible for me. I didn't like it. But now that I've used it for such a period of time, and again, that's the version which you're using right now, is that it's much, much more easier to use. And the M2E Pro guys, they're going to be bringing M2E Pro up to the same kind of level with Amazon as what you've got with eBay in the extension and in Magento. So what that means for us is that we know that this is changing. And in literally, it's a matter of weeks. So it's by the end of Q2. So which is basically in the middle of this year, is that they're going to have this updated version of Amazon. And we basically explained that whatever we do, we just know it's going to have to be rewritten for the new version. And that was our dilemma. And the summary basically was, we understand, but just get something out for it. Get us to that level. So that's what we've been focusing upon, getting like a mini series in just for Amazon. And also to do it so the other things like using the Amazon Excel sheets, for example, we can do those separately and then bolt them in to the version 6 module of M2E Pro so that they go in hand. So that's something which we've been working on in the background. And the other one, Dave, which was to do with the website. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to just share with you a little insight into what we're actually working on the website, because there is a lot of documentation on how to build a Magento website. The problem is that with everything which has been created around Magento and this theme in a Magento, they're opening up Notepad and you're editing raw HTML on these template files, these PHTML files, and you're changing PHP. And that is just so wrong.
For about an hour yesterday, or a couple of days ago now, I was sat down and looking for the sort of other tutorials that are out there for setting up a Magento website. And being a resident non-nerd, none of them seem like a viable option to me. If I put myself in the customer's shoes where I was going to go and build a Magento website, basically the tutorials that are out there currently, which I found, were just not for me. And it was just above my level of knowledge regarding code. And I would have to go and learn HTML, PHP to a much greater level in order to just do what these tutorials were doing.
And it doesn't need to be that way. So one of the notes which I'm going to read this note out. It's going to be part of one of the first guides, which is that, number one, Magento doesn't need to be expensive. The second one, and again, this is our view on, it doesn't matter if it's Magento or any other website product, is that let's just say that you've got a budget of £2,000 to build out to, if you're investigating to go and have a Magento website designed for your business, is that we're coming to this from a completely different view. And by the way, I told this same mentality, the same point of view to a business which had just taken £900,000 in investment. And my advice was exactly the same to them, which is very straightforward. You spend as little as possible to create a great quality website. And in our world, that's about $100. Build a website on a budget of $100. Yes, if you want some extra features and extensions, which we'll take you through as well, which are optional, just like the whole understanding mentality again, the point of view, which is that if you need the extra features, you pay for them and you add them in. But if you don't, you don't. But if you've only spent $100, so like 60, 70 quid on a website, whatever the budget you've got left, so you've got £1,900 left, spend that on marketing the website. Because if you go and spend that kind of budget on getting customers to your website, you'll find out what works, what doesn't, and you're not $2,000 in the hole on the website and then having to spend this extra money on marketing. Our investigation into this has been like kind of crazy because the web design companies out there don't want you to know about this. They don't want you to know about this. But actually, we do want you to know about this because spending £1,000 or more, £2,000 on a bespoke website, if your business warrants it, then you should consider it. But we want you to be a success. So that's our point of view for this. The one sticky point which we've got is around the plan of attack, and that's how we can deliver it to you in the right way, if that makes sense. In a way that you'll be able to pick up and you'll be able to understand very intuitively. And that piece, the other pieces are kind of done. It's just this plan of attack, and that's what we're working on at the moment. That's like the glue to hold everything together. So we're still working on that one, and hopefully we're going to start recording maybe by the end of this week and get some pieces out. And again, as soon as we've got them ready, we will just be dropping them out live on the site for you, so you can follow us along as soon as we've got them ready for you. Anyway, gone off topic. Dave, 16 new guides in February. That's a crazy
16
number.
new guides, yeah. It doesn't feel like that at all. I think what we've actually inadvertently done there is release them out in batches and then have a couple of weeks where we didn't release any. So that's why it probably feels like we haven't actually released that many. But yeah, 16 brand new guides. We started with managing orders in M2E Pro and took up to stage 2 where we're sort of managing orders with inventory that wasn't created on M2E Pro in the first place. Mm-hmm. We also had the tax guides released, and that's a much more in-depth look at the different tax rules and setups for not just businesses here in the UK and Europe, but also Australia and the USA as well.
Oh, and the USA was so much easier than what I was like really worried that we were going to have all these different tax
codes
states.
for 50 states.
Oh, I thought it was going to be horrific, but actually it was really straightforward.
Dead easy, yeah.
It's dead easy.
We also released the admin theme guides.
Yay!
Yeah, because we launched Premium in February, and that meant that we could then obviously launch the admin themes to go with it.
Text here.
More on that later. Sorry. And we also released 4 more supplementary guides this last week in February, which again were a lot of almost like ad hoc videos, which either we had been asked for, that had been on our list to do for a while, and we actually got round to doing them. So yeah, which includes how to import images using MagMe, and also a fantastic one on how to dynamically resize images for your eBay listings.
Yeah, that cost $11.11 to get right, and it's just the world which we live in. And again, this is where we're going to get onto the topic of isn't investment cheating in a minute as well, because that's the world which I live in and we live in, which is that dictate what you want to be done, or explain what you want to be done, and then find the cheapest resource to go and do it for you. And that's what we did with that. So again, I did spend 40 minutes trying to write it myself. It was the good base to do it, and I just gave up and just gave it to someone else to do. But anyway, that will allow you to get around the 500 pixels limit or requirement by eBay, and so that you can dynamically change your images when you're importing them. Oh, and also I spoke to Sebastian from MagMe, and he's given us basically two lines of code which you can add into the value replacer. And I'm going to be updating that video guide on that images one, because then you've got the choice whether you do it in Excel when you're actually importing, or the CSV file which you're importing via MagMe, or you can have it as a standard replace function within MagMe as well. Again, MagMe is exceptionally powerful, and we've got both options there, so I will be updating that as well. I also spoke to Simon from Simple Service this month, and he was really impressed with what we've been and done in such a short space of time.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. And again, I think he's probably had quite a few new Simple Servers customers in the recent month.
Yeah, just a few. And also just from their point of view, which is that they've been taking on new members of staff, and a hat tip here to Justin for his help setting up with the SSL certificate for Export My Listings. And it was really painless. He just basically said, make sure you got this email working, and then you'll get a link in a couple of minutes. And then literally the whole process was done in half an hour, something like that. And yeah, there was a 6-hour gap in that because that's when we went to London, Dave. But it was pretty much done. And on that topic, the Real Business Future 50, that was curious, wasn't it?
It was a really interesting environment to be in, and it was a great event. Sadly, we didn't make the top 50, and I don't know. It's a funny one for me. I just want to throw this out there. I am by no means bitter about what I'm going to say. But for me, there was businesses when we sort of looked at the information from the Real Business Future 50, it was all about the young, disruptive, startup, early-stage businesses.
6 years. Right, Dave, your point is basically one of the businesses which are up there had been up there for 6 years.
That was one of them. I mean, there was another one that was 5, another one that was 3, and in my world, they're not early-stage businesses.
No.
We'd been live 7 weeks. That's a really early stage business.
So maybe we were a bit too young for it. But yeah. we did have a bit of a giggle, which was that there was this fantastic guy from a really cool website, which you should go and have a look. It's called comparethecoffin.com. And we did laugh at that. And the guy
was a great guy. Yeah.
Great guy. He was absolutely hilarious. And again, I think it was just worth just going there to listen to him. But the bit which made us smile a little bit, because they had about 5,000 unique visitors. And that's why I just flipped my phone out and gone, Dave, I'm pretty sure we've done more than that this month. Got the phone out and we had already done 9,000 unique visitors on that day as well. So, yeah, we're kicking his butt in this time.
Fair play to Mr. Compare the Coffin. He was under a year old and he had bootstrapped it from the beginning, starting his business on £10.50, I think he said, and cutting in a load of favours from his mates to build his website and stuff. That guy was, in my opinion, an early stage startup and being disruptive in the market. So fair play to Compare the Coffin.
Oh, yeah.
But we are doing slightly more visitors than you are.
And that was just one dynamic. There's some other dynamics where he was beating us as well. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. We also put a blog post out a couple of days ago regarding M2E Pro feature requests. We've got some good news, which the bundles feature request has been started. So that's for the example which I used was 2 car headlight bulbs. So you can imagine if you look at your car, you've got a light bulb on the left and you've got a light bulb on the right. Normally, you would want to sell those as a kit. So if you've got 10 of those in stock, then you want to sell them in pairs. And Magento comes with this functionality out of the box. You can make your own bundles or kits, as we know them by, and Magento calls them bundles. But the thing is, was that with M2E Pro, is that instead of listing 5, assuming you have 10 in stock and you require 2 for that product, is listing 10. And obviously that opens you problems with overselling. So we documented that and gave them the examples of how we would like it to work. And that's been started. So big hat tip to the team over at M2E Pro. That's been fantastic. But the other one, which I kind of phrased correctly, actually, I think, which was we're currently with M2E Pro, and I understand this. So the challenge or the feature request is that if you've got more than one image on a variation product, so if you think about a handbag, for example, is that, and maybe it comes in yellow and blue, is that if you've got 5 images for the yellow and 5 additional images for the blue, that right now M2E Pro is only uploading 1 image for each variation. And the way which I've worded it and mentioned it to eBay, which is that sellers are you're at a competitive disadvantage compared to maybe a seller who's using the sell your item form, which I class as the most basic tool of them all, which is a bit unfair to it because it's quite comprehensive. But for any third-party software, it should be at least on par, if not exceed, what you can find in the sell your item form on eBay. And, of course, M2E Pro are a little bit hesitant around this because in the API calls to eBay, and again, this is just to help you give you an insight to what's going on in the background. The longest call of them all is to do with the images. So if you think about this, is that when you list an item to eBay, is that the images need to go into the EPS, or eBay Picture Services. And that means is that the image needs to be transferred to eBay. The more images you got, the longer which it takes. And I understand the reasoning behind M2E Pro to try and limit that down to one. But on the flip side is that if you've only got one image per variation and you actually had a dozen available, is that any customer which is on a mobile device, which eBay like to tell us that, 30% of iPad users have been and downloaded the iPad app and things like that, is that those extra images don't show up. And of course, your customers are browsing visually on these mobile devices. So that's the angle which we took with them. We're just going to let them fester on that for a while to see what happens, but we're not going to let go of this one because we do feel that you're at a little bit of a competitive disadvantage compared to other sellers, and we'll see what falls out for that one. Right, 2 more. Export my listings. In short, I'm still working on it. Basically, the process works. It's the friendly part for humans that is not great at the moment. I've got the SSL certificate in, so like the full-blown eBay integration where you can type in your username and password on eBay and you get the token back. That's all working and tested. It's just the interface. It is diabolical on there. The actual process is, just got my pencil, work in the background. It's still work in progress. So apologies. It just needs more time and effort from my side on there. And yeah, I really need to get that out. So Dave, actually, that needs to be on our priority list.
That's the priority, is it? We'll put that on the list.
Now, Dave, the fun one.
I love this. You tell the story about how this came up because it's brilliant.
Okay, so I went to an event in Bristol, and the reason why I went to it is because it was in Bristol and I could go to Cafe Gusto, which is my favourite coffee shop in the entire world, to grab a coffee. And before we went in, and it was literally just across the road, so went in there, grabbed a coffee, went across, and there was more people there than what I expected, and it was full of really cool people. So they were entrepreneurs like you. And in my world, you're the cool people, and I love speaking with guys just like you, or girls, as the case may be. Now, one of the interesting things which came up, which was that there was an incubator. So this is where a company will foster other companies to help them get off the ground. And there's one specific chap called Mike, who is on one of my challenges for this month, is to actually get in contact with him to actually see what he gets up to. Which is that one of the things which they do is that they help the business get started and then also help the business go into VC funding or find a backer for the business. But I don't think he really liked my reaction very much, which was that isn't investment cheating? And he looked at me oddly. But that's my view. Right now is that I do look at investment as cheating, because if you don't have your back to the wall and you can, again, it's the difference between having your back to the wall and having it into a case like me and Dave were discussing before this podcast, which is that we can't afford for it not to work. That wires you differently. Whereas that maybe if you took someone else's money, is that not cheating? I can see why it'd be beneficial, and there's massive benefits to it, like speed to market, and some businesses wouldn't even work without funding. And like Dave, one of the chaps which we met at the Real Business Future 50, where he was putting the TV screens into all the prime locations into London, that required massive investment. Yeah. And
that's it. Obviously, with a business model like that, you need an impressive sort of war chest to begin with in order to buy the screens and just generally for the logistics of the whole operation. And that's fair enough. And it's the same with, Flubbit, Matt. I worked with them briefly, Lino last year. They were, again, another business which took investment, but Flubbit just wouldn't have worked without investment. It was just too big of a monster to bootstrap on your own. But I think there's a very weird thing going on currently in startup sort of circles where success is based on how much investment they can get. And to me, that's just alien. I don't understand it.
And again, we're coming from the point of view here, which is that we weren't just offered investment once, but twice prior to UnderstandingE being launched. And it would have helped. It would have made us be more comfortable. Our speed to market would have been faster, and we could have got some other things done. But would it have kept us on edge? Would I have done 72 hours now on back to back, no sleep? Would I have done it? No.
No, you wouldn't, because again, all of a sudden you've got this safety net. All of a sudden it takes away the urgency and the need for it to work to the same level that it does when, without you have nothing. We have nothing. We have to create something out of nothing, and we know that doesn't necessarily work. So the only thing we can give it is our time.
It's the blood. It's the sweat. And again, I'm not saying that somebody with a business which takes the investment doesn't go through that as well. Again, I prepared myself mentally and also financially to go through a starvation period for a long period of time. Before Christmas, it cost me at least 14 grand to get UnderstandingE, because I had to take 14 months and I had to turn work down. And again, I've turned more work down now. And Steve, if you're listening to this, I do apologise because I've not got back to you. And again, hopefully that you might listen to this and you'll understand why. But sometimes you've got to take these really tough choices. Now, Dave, on the flip side, okay, is this me? And you as well. I don't need to go to
Hello, I'm here too.
So is this us or me being scared of taking someone else's money? Is it me being scared of losing control? Is it me being scared that someone else might think we're mad as cheese? And am I scared that somebody else who has got the potential, and it's the rejection, which is basically what I'm getting to, is that am I scared of someone else thinking that we're mad as cheese, which they would be right, let's be fair here, especially me, Dave, you're quite sane in comparison.
I'm much closer to the line.
Right. Is that written us off and said that won't work? Is that, and again, this is something which I'm going to be investigating this month, which is that, is this me with a false point of view? And is it me being scared of the commitment to someone else, being held to accountable to somebody else other than Dave, but on a day-to-day basis, and you listening to this. So I'm actually questioning my mindset on this. Is making me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it's my goal today and tomorrow to find that chap called Mike from the incubator in Bristol. And
he's not going to answer your calls after you blatantly told him his investment is cheap.
Yes.
But to let you know where I am, I know where I am on the thought of investment, and for me, I'm not scared of taking someone else's money, and I'm not scared what anyone else thinks of me in terms of if they think I'm mad as cheese or not. I don't care. The thing for me is losing control, and right now, one of mine and Matt's biggest assets is that we can move quick. We had an idea and we published an ebook within 2 weeks. Most businesses would have taken 2 weeks to plan it, and we'd had the whole thing published and proofread and released and downloaded.
Maybe it's been held accountable to someone else and losing the freedom.
Yes.
Whereas we decided it in 5 minutes after post that webinar we were going to do it, and we didn't. The only persons which we had to be held accountable to were ourselves. And again, is this me and you, Dave, being scared of taking someone else's money, scared of losing control, and being pushed back on track by somebody else? And again, this is one of our biggest strengths and one of our biggest weaknesses. We're a team of two. We can be nimbler than anybody else. We see something, we can do it immediately. In a case of 2 weeks to do something.
Yeah.
Whereas a larger business, it's like, again, I remember one of the conversations with eBay, and the way which it was explained is that it's trying to turn an oil tanker that takes miles, tens of miles to turn a tanker in a new direction. Whereas I think they looked at us with us being extremely nimble and being able to spin on it. We want to do something, we're going to.
They called us a jet ski in comparison.
Which was nice for it. But it does come with its dangers. So I'm going to lift myself out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to go investigate the investment side this month, and to see, am I right, am I wrong, and where it works.
It's an interesting one. But I understand how Matt works, and Matt understands how I work, and because of that, we work very well together. And for me, the thought of someone else coming in and maybe not understanding, me and Matt have been friends for years, so we know each other's pros and cons, but someone else who doesn't know that could potentially rub things up the wrong way and disrupt us. And for me, I think that is the major problem with investment that I see. It would have to be the right person.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And again, I've got a history of that. If I don't feel comfortable in doing something, then I'm up and I walk away. Which may sound bad, but whatever you do, you've got to have the passion to do it, and you've got to have the passion to do it for a long time. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then get up and walk out. And my wife has seen me do it numerous times, and she understands that's how I work. But if you're in a paid full-time employment job, then get up and walking out is not the norm. And most people don't have the balls to do it. And understandably, they've got a family to keep and things like that. I'm wired that I don't care, Dave. If something went really badly wrong with UE, I would have another business within a month. That's the person which I am. Mm-hmm. And again, it's because if you've got the entrepreneurial bug, then it is a disease. It plagues you every single day because you've got ideas, you've got so much running through your head. It's insane. But one of the biggest challenges of an entrepreneur like that is actually implementing it. And I now know, it's taken me a while to do this, I now know that if I focus on one project and do it exclusively and do it well, and not multitask, just singly task on something, that I can make it happen. All it needs is time, effort, and that question mark, does it need money to do it? I believe in bootstrapping. That's the way which I'm wired.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that investment wouldn't expedite a lot of things heavily, but it does, again, back to that mentality for the Magento website. Instead of being $2,000 in the hole, you're about $100 in the hole. That's a massive disparity, because if you did have that budget of £2,000, you spend 70 quid on that side, and then you can go and find your customers with whatever budget you've got left over. And again, that's my point of view. If we had a budget of 10 and did the website for 100, then we had free reins on that. That would be cool. So anyway, we're going to go and look into that this month. So Dave, what one thing do you believe that you could have done better last month or this month or whenever it was?
Whenever it was. Well, in February, I think my topic would be, I think we could have communicated a little more. We had a hectic week, and like I said, I can't believe we did 16 guides, and obviously wrote an ebook in that time. And we've also been recording podcasts for the mini-series that are coming up. And we've just been really busy with not just writing blog posts, but also recording. And I think that's taken away some of the time that we've spent in communicating with you guys. And for March, I'm going to do my best to be much more active in the forums, reply to comments and emails a lot quicker than I was doing in February, because I think communication is a key part of what we bring to the table at UnderstandingE, and it's something which you don't get that much of, or certainly to the same degree, I would like to think, in terms of speaking with the people behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke about that earlier this morning, didn't we? We've got a cunning plan to put into place, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think that will go a long way to increasing the communication. And yeah, so that would be my thing. That's what we could have done better in February. Maybe we were a little bit too quiet. I know one of the members is probably quite happy that we didn't send as many emails, certainly saying testing them. And so I think we can ramp up communication a little more, whether it be on social media, whether it be in the forums, the comments, the emails, the webinars. That's my thing. Yeah. What about you?
For me, it's one specific area, which is that I'm behind on email, massively behind on there. And the reason for that is that I'm just crap at multitasking. I've tried multitasking, and the thing is, it doesn't work. I'm a man, and it just doesn't work. If I was female, then I'd be probably excellent at it, but I'm not. So I do one thing at one time and try and do it to the best of my abilities. And that does mean that everything else which I'm not doing suffers. But the one thing which has suffered really badly lately has been email. And it's not because I don't want to speak to the people who send me emails at all. It's just because I've just been head down focusing on what I've been doing. So for this month, it's me to focus a little bit more on email and what we've been up to. So Dave, let's go and compare ourselves back to last month and what our challenges were. And basically I failed at both of the first two.
Well, I did say at the time it was going to be... I said doubling it was doable, tripling it was daft.
I take your point. That. So we haven't managed to treble, but we've had a decent increase in 90 page views, but also in unique visitors. But maybe we were being, maybe I was being a bit optimistic. And again, the reason why it didn't happen is because I didn't really focus on it very much. So there's two big failures for that one.
Okay.
Oh, we fixed the annoying bug so you didn't get caught in an annoying loop. That got solved as well. Avoid buying the boiler for the house. Yes, I did that again. We again for those of you which are listening to this, is that we had to make the decision back in December. Well, I had to make the decision, and I've got a very understanding wife, which is that had to make the choice between buying a boiler for the house for winter and into spring, because it's been awful here at the moment. It's been very wet for number one, and also freezing as well for the last couple of nights, and the boiler basically blows itself out. And I made the choice to buy a new computer so that we could render video basically faster for UnderstandingE. And I basically, Dave, do you know how I avoided this?
By buying coats for everyone?
No, I got British Gas in and they quoted £4,500.
Oh yeah, that would have done it.
Yeah. So the wife said no. For it. Do more podcasts. We got a couple of podcasts out this month, didn't we?
We did. I mean, we've recorded loads, but again, a lot of these are part of series which are going to get released later on. So yeah, I think we did well there. We definitely we recorded a fair share of podcasts.
Indeed, we also got premium membership live on the site as well.
Yeah, which is great. That's starting to pick up nicely, and we have a couple of extensions that are still nearly there, which will hopefully get released soon too.
Mm-hmm. And that also went in line with the launch of the UnderstandingE store. And again, we've got a special discount code for you, yes, which we'll share with you in a couple of minutes. We didn't get the export My Listing site live.
No.
Again, that's gone on to the to-do list for this month to get it through. We also didn't get the outline for the webinar of how to sell on eBay using Magento in just 40 minutes. Now, that's not going to get done this month, and there is a reason for that, which we can't share with you right now, but we've got to do that, and it needs a little bit more planning than we can give it right now, especially with the other things which we've got on our plate. So you've heard us discuss about the Magento website design and the Amazon piece. That has to come first. You told us that had to come first, so the really cool idea of the webinar is got to be put on hold. So that was kind of important for us, but you've told us something different, so we've got to go with you on there. We've releasing the order management guides. We've done quite well on that.
Yeah, we got the basic guides out and we got the tax guides out. We haven't touched couriers just yet. Mm-hmm. And again, we are waiting on getting the Magento guides ready before we touch couriers, and you'll see that all makes sense in how those guides work.
Yeah, and just to say, we have the latest version of Magento Ship Easy extension working on our test site right now. And again, the reason why we've been holding back on that is because we wanted flags to be in. And it does mean that we've been behind a week or two. And we have been pushing Jim and his team over at Magento really hard, but also playing fair as well, because we don't want Jim to publish crap code. In there. We want it to be stable over multiple versions, so we've been working with Jim. Again, hat tip to Jim, he's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And but we do have the working version now, the version which has got the latest bleeding edge version, and it works a treat. And it may sound daft that we've been holding off for just some pretty flags, but they're really important because not only does Ship Easy enable you to visually see your orders and make your orders page much, much easier to manage and also bulk process orders, but with the addition of the flags, it allows you to batch process your orders. So let's imagine we've come into our office and it's 9 o'clock in the morning and we've got 30 orders which we need to pick, pack and ship. So you can pick those orders up and you can flag them. And that's a batch. That's a batch which you can do at 9 o'clock. And then maybe at 10 o'clock is that maybe when you're pick and packers, or maybe Dave, for example, still working on the last couple of stragglers, is that I can jump into my Magento system or our Magento system or your Magento system and grab the next batch, which are processing orders, which are not flagged, and then flag those orders. So we got the second batch, filter by those and print those out. And of course, Dave, once you finish with the last ones, you can come back, mark them as dispatched in bulk into the system. And you've already got the next batch working. And again, if you've got multiple members of staff in your team in the warehouse, then they can be running multiple batches at multiple times. And that allows you to deal with like the previous existing orders and also use flags as well to identify beyond just putting an order on hold.
I think the major one is for businesses that have used flags before, they now can't do without flags. Mm-hmm. It gives them great flexibility, especially in bulk order processing. And we wanted to try and have that in as early as possible because you will see the benefits from it.
So I'm marking that one off. So as in that we don't, it's almost there and we're going to be hitting it this afternoon. So we're recording this on the 5th of March. So by the end of this week, maybe Monday, that you will start seeing the Ship Easy and the Pick Pack guides. And this is where we really do turn Magento into multi-channel software, which is capable of bulk processing orders. We were kind of hoping to have Outsourcing the Right Way guides and series out, but that's still a week or two away. It's going to be a fantastic series with Carlo from Second Office.
Yeah.
And we're going to open your eyes into the world of outsourcing, and you're literally going to save a minimum of 35% compared to staff in the UK. And also you're going to be able to pick up specialists with outsourcing as well. This is the whole thing with outsourcing. You bring the expertise into your business, and hopefully that expertise is far less expensive than what it would be if you were to try and pick that up within the UK. And this was a May one. Again, this is what our target was to do this month. May have hit the website guides by then, so by the end of February. The reality is we're not that far away. It's that planning piece in the middle so that we can deliver it back to you in plain English and in a pattern which you'll understand very, very easily. We need it to be natural for you. So it's that little bit which is piecing it all together needs to be done. But actually, Dave, that doesn't stop us getting some of the other guides.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got the structure there. We know exactly what is going to be in it. It's just putting it in the right order.
And again, that may say, well, why can't you just chop it all together? Actually, it's not that straightforward. The reason being, again, I'll just give you the insight to this. If you pick on the homepage, so one of the 6 or 7 standard pages for any e-commerce website, the homepage is actually the most difficult page to talk you through. The reason being because you've got the header, so you've got the top line, you've got a sub-header, you've got the cart, you've got the sub-cart, you've got the pop-out cart, you've got the categorization, you've then got banners and sliders, you then need to know about categorization, you would also need to know about the grid mechanism as well, and then you've got the footer as well, and you would also need to know about the content pages. So while it may seem instinctive to start at the home page, actually the home page should be the last page which you do, because it's the combination of all the knowledge which you've learned up going from the product page to the category page, doing your category menu, the header and the footer, is the home page is actually the last page. So where most people focus on what does the home page look like, in this instance, it needs to be in complete reverse, because that's the way your knowledge will work, your time and experience. It's the crawl, walk, run methodology. You can only do the homepage if you can walk quite extensively with Magento. And again, we want to try and keep it as simple as we can with copy and paste code. So homepage, very difficult to do. Product page, ironically, is one of the easiest ones to do. So Dave, what have we got planned up for next month, or this month?
This month. So we're now in March, and our main priorities, thanks to you guys who've already told us, number one is start the website guides. And like I said, as Matt's just told you where we're up to with that, we will start seeing the guides at some point this month. And exactly the same with the Amazon guides. We're not at the same level in terms of structure with Amazon, because like I said, this is going to be a sort of a plaster to get you guys listing onto Amazon in the meantime whilst we wait for the M2E Pro update. But for the time being, we will find a solution for you guys to be able to get your products and map them onto Amazon and M2E Pro. Also, we have to complete the order management guides, which again, we have a couple of the Jim Magento guides, and we have a few guides relating to couriers, which again, we need to get done for order management. And then pretty much that is order management largely complete.
We've also got we've got two series. We mentioned outsourcing with Carlo a few minutes ago, but we've also got a set of guides over reviews for your website. And again, this is going back to our mentality, our point of view for the website is that you spend as little as possible and you build a website, you build a business with the website. And reviews are a key part to that as well. And again, if you're going to spend money on the website, spend it on the pieces which are going to make you money. And reviews are one part of that. So we've been importing Claire from FIFO, and we've got a fantastic series. And we've got an interview with John from Bamford Trading, which we did last week.
Yeah, it was a great podcast, which will be part of the series.
Oh, amazing. And thank you, John. If you listen to this, thank you for your time and effort. Again, thank you, Claire, as well. We've also noted cross-border trade, and we're working on a series of, it's cross-border trade in plain English. And again, you'll know this, is that you're being told that you should sell internationally, blah, 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 blah. But where should you focus? How to do it? And when? As well, it's like these three daft questions. And the easiest thing for us to do is go and bring in a chap called Simon. Simon, basically, his business was saved. Basically, he wouldn't be in business if he didn't have cross-border trade. And that was to do with a ban of knives within the UK. Remember, I'm sure that if any of you sold, and again, you may have had policy warnings from, say, eBay, for example, for selling kitchen knives, for example, is that if he hadn't had an international business, then he would have been pretty much ruined overnight. And cross-border trade, in his case, really did save his butt. So you're going to hear from lots of business owners who are actually doing it. And of course, we asked the pivotal question: what one piece of advice would you give to someone who is looking to expand their business internationally? And the feedback which we've had, really cool. But Dave, that isn't actually going to be in March. That is actually going to be in the April series. And
yeah, again, that is a long... the cross-border trade series is bulking out quite a lot with fantastic content, but there's just so much to cover, and it's probably not going to be complete for March.
Yeah, and it's not only so much to cover, it's so many people to work with as well.
Yep.
We're not just working with sellers, we're working with other providers as well. Again, Scott and Anya from Intercultural Elements, again, thank you ever so much for your help and your support. But there are certain marketplaces which we're working with as well to bring you the best guide which is possible. And again, some of these marketplaces are really hard to work with at times because they don't work in the time frame of, Dave, should we do that now? Kind of thing. Yeah. They have to schedule it in and things like that. So it's going to be a bigger one, but we think it's going to be fantastic, and we can't wait to share that one with you. And the other one, which we've got in here as well, is export my listings. I need to get that to at least a human-friendly environment. So you've just got the process to follow. And right now, it's not at something which is an industry term called minimum viable product. It's not at that stage. I couldn't put it in front of you because it just wouldn't work. So I've got to go and do some more work on that to get it to that kind of level. Oh, and just give you again, there are other tools out there which could do this for you. So there's an extension which you can go and pay $200 for, so 130 quid, 140 quid for, and you can do it within Magento, which is nice. but it doesn't give you the kind of flexibility in which you would get through Export My Listings, because we actually tell you what you should be doing and let you to choose. And you get the Excel file. If you don't want something, you can cut it out. It's nice and straightforward. And then the other one is you can do it in bulk as well, because you've got the raw version, and you can do with it whatever you need to do with it. And the other one, there's a website called Export My Store, which is $300 for one-time hit. And again, that goes up with the more products which you've got. And as far as I'm concerned with Export My Listings, is that I don't care. It gets the big thing for that is the amount of time. If you've had 10,000 listings in the last 10 days, that takes 2 seconds a listing. So the more listings which you've got, the longer it takes. So that's the biggest restraint as far as Export My Listings go. And again, I've got multi-threading processes going on to try and speed that up, but we are kind of limited by the speed of the eBay API, no matter which way I cut it. Anyway, Export My Listings, priority, must get it to minimum viable product so you can actually use it and you can give us some feedback.
I'll jump in and try and make it look pretty, maybe bulk out some pages and stuff, and try and give you a hand while you do the impressive codey stuff.
Yeah, so Dave, thank you for offering to do in the front end of the website. That's really appreciated.
Wow, it's amazing, isn't it? Give an inch, take a mile with some people.
And, right, so the last one, the discount code. So,
yes,
happy days. That is the discount code. Okay. So if you want to buy the admin theme for the green and brown UnderstandingE theme, which you've seen in all the video guides, is that if you put the discount code happy days, so HAPPYDAYS, all in lowercase, in the coupon code, in the checkout, that you'll get a 15% discount off the admin theme. And also, just give you a heads up, I've got 1 or 2 revisions, which I've had some fantastic feedback for this. And again, it has just been updating in the background automatically. So the guys and people which have been purchasing it have been up to the latest level. And I do have another version which I want to bring out. It's just tiny little tweaks, and your feedback's been absolutely amazing. So anyway, if you use the discount code Happy Days in the coupon box on the checkout, and again, we'll include a link to the admin theme underneath this podcast. If you listen to us on UnderstandingE, it's just literally below the podcast play button. If you're on iTunes, then you'll need to go to understandinge.com, and then at the top we got blog, and then just click on podcasts and you'll find us there. We'll just click on store at the top and enjoy.
How long is the code going to be active for?
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll say to the end of the month.
Yeah, give them a month on it.
So to the 1st of April, then that we'll take the code off. And it's only applicable to the admin theme. It won't work with any of the other extensions which are in the store right now as well. So, and
also an obvious point, if you're a premium member, you automatically are eligible for 50% discount code.
Okay, but if you're not a premium member, don't want to be a premium member, that's fine by us.
Yep.
Listening, and this is our way of saying thank you. So on that note, from myself, Matt.
And me, Dave.
Thank you for listening in. We'll catch you soon. Cheerios.
Toodles.